For the third year I was with David Johnson, he fell in love with someone else. When I found out, I heard him tearing open my old wounds. Sarah? She's filthy/unclean, just a stray dog that latched on, can't even kick her off. The girl in his arms giggled, but my vision went black. He rushed towards me. Traveling hundreds of miles to see my long-distance boyfriend was probably the bravest thing I'd done in 19 years. After I put my suitcase down in the hotel, I suddenly saw a familiar figure at the entrance. It was David Johnson, my long-distance boyfriend. Just as I was about to go over and call out to him, I realized he wasn't alone. She took his hand, he didn't pull away. My mind instantly flashed back to the junior student David Johnson had recently mentioned frequently, the one bothering him. A girl joined the club recently. She's from our old high school. Doesn't know anything, always causing trouble. So annoying. My Sarah is the best. How was that paper I left for you last week? The deadline's coming up, you must have finished it, right, Sarah? Miss you oh. His words of disdain for her were still ringing in my ears, but here he was, paired up with her. I clenched the long sleeves of my top. She wore a spaghetti-strap dress and short skirt, her white legs straight and long, standing out among David Johnson's friends. The sight made my eyes sting. My heart sank, and I leaned against the door to call David Johnson. The window in my room faced the hallway. From behind the curtains, I watched their figures leaning against each other in the lobby. My phone kept ringing. From a distance, I saw David Johnson frown. After the third time I called, he finally looked down and replied to my WeChat message. What is it, Sarah? I'm in class. The teacher is really strict, can't use phones. I'll find you after class. I looked up. The group walked out in a grand procession and turned into a bar across from the hotel. Such a group of attractive young men and women naturally attracted a lot of attention. I didn't even need to try hard to hear their laughing and joking. He was in the center, she was by his side. David Johnson's best friend came over to pour her a drink, but David Johnson blocked him. My boyfriend, who has stomach problems. After we got together, I spent countless hours taking care of his stomach, but out of my sight, he was blocking drink after drink for another girl. After a few rounds of drinks, David Johnson's face was flushed. I called him with a trembling hand, wanting to see what he would say. But I saw him hang up, tap the screen a few times, and shove his phone carelessly back into his pocket. I heard one of his friends ask about me. Sarah checking in again? Don't rub it in, David. My girlfriend is worried about you at home, and the other one is here conquering the battlefield with you, ha ha ha. David Johnson's eyes were full of disdain, completely different from the tone he used with me. Sarah? She's filthy/unclean, just a stray dog that latched on, can't even kick her off. How could I like her? If it weren't for that bet, I wouldn't even look at her. Yeah, pretty is pretty, but David is right, who would like a slut? Especially a worn-out whore. Rumors kill more surely than swords. And these words came from my boyfriend's mouth in the end. I started to tremble, unsure if it was more anger or more sorrow. Lost in thought, I was bumped by a drunk man, spilling the drink in my hand all over the floor. The glass shattered on impact. The drunk man had been about to speak. I clearly saw the shape of his lips, sore, before the re came out. He grinned lecherously when he saw my eyes. Hey beautiful, you going clubbing dressed like that? His eyes scanned my long sleeves and long pants with ill intent. The smell of alcohol filled my nostrils as the drunk man got closer and closer, reaching out and grabbing my collar. This won't do. Let me help you look pretty. A chill spread across my chest as half my shoulder was exposed. In the air conditioning, I started to shiver. The drunk man leaned close to my ear, laughing wildly. I know what you are. I knew it the moment I looked into your eyes. Waiting to be tamed? Master's little bitch. I instinctively stepped back, grabbing the tablecloth and pulling several glasses off the table to the floor. The successive crashing sounds were still noticeable in the noisy lobby. This commotion attracted the attention of the group. I made eye contact with David Johnson. Seeing me, his eyes were filled with shock. He cursed, damn it, then sprinted towards me. He cursed, but his feet didn't slow down at all. He grabbed the drunk man by the collar and punched him. The drunk man was still clutching the button he had just ripped off my clothes. Seeing this, David Johnson's eyes turned red. He straddled the man, his fists landing with more force. The immediate danger past, I instinctively retreated, my body going limp as I sank into a corner. I couldn't stop trembling, and large drops of cold sweat rolled down my face. Then, a piece of clothing was draped over me. The air filling my nostrils was no longer the acrid smell of alcohol, but the fresh scent of laundry detergent, which brought immense security. My trembling body controlled my eyes, instinctively wanting to close them. My vision flickered, and I really felt like I couldn't hold on much longer. But a pair of warm hands rested on my shoulder. "Open your eyes." As if enchanted, I forced myself to lift my eyelids. The young man in front of me was kneeling at my level, looking at me with steady eyes. His eyes were bright, a pair beneath thick brows, more dazzling than stars. I felt a sense of familiarity but couldn't place where I'd seen him before. He turned my body gently and spoke softly near my ear. "He's not scary, is he?" I couldn't help but sh. Ver. The image of the drunk man grabbing my clothes was vivid in my mind, and I shook my head uncontrollably. "Your," he paused, "boyfriend, he's already beaten him like a dog, hasn't he?" My tears fell. Seeing this, he didn't touch me again, but simply handed me a handkerchief. That's right, a handkerchief. Who carries a handkerchief these days? My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, and I couldn't help but mock myself. My boyfriend cheated on me, I was harassed by a drunk man, and I had time to think about pointless things like this. While I was lost in thought, I saw the young man stand up. The handkerchief felt smooth and soft. I took it and wiped my tears with trembling hands. Through the gaps in the handkerchief, I saw the young man move even faster. He dragged the drunk man over as if lifting a little chick, then helped me up. Naturally using my own long sleeve to cover my hand, he grabbed my wrist through the fabric and slapped the drunk man hard. The slap landed on the drunk man's face. With the young man's strength, the drunk man's face instantly swelled up. Seeing him beaten, sniffling, and apologizing profusely, my fear lessened. I stood up and tried to kick him. But as I exerted force, my vision went black. Before I fell, I saw a flicker of panic on the young man's calm face. David Johnson also rushed over. I seemed to be lifted up. Who was it? I must have seen him before. Chains wrapped around me. Ice, cold, biting cold. Without end. It seemed I was in water, sinking uncontrollably into the deep sea. I struggled to reach the surface but was kicked down hard by a pair of high heels. An evil voice repeated by the surface of the water, growing louder in my ear. "Things that bleed can grow up to be this enticing, damn it. I've topped up, streamer, hit harder. Where's the whip? Hurry up, what are you doing? My money isn't free." A delicate female voice, now filled with terror, read each comment aloud to me like a machine. Her exquisite face drew closer and closer, her small, high nose pressing against mine, and she gave me an innocent smile. "Remember, you're always just their little slave." Her terrifying yet innocent smile overlapped with those steady, bright eyes. One told me, "Fall, sink down." One told me, "Don't be afraid, stand up." I recoiled in terror. My throat felt constricted, barely able to make a sound. Exerting all my strength, I opened my eyes. I don't know where I found the energy to sit up in bed. It was endless white. The acrid smell of disinfectant made my tears fall nonstop. A hand was wiping the cold sweat from my entire body. I instinctively flinched away. His hand paused in the air. It was David Johnson. His gaze held a hint of pleading. My body trembled uncontrollably. "Sarah, don't be afraid, it's okay, I'm here." His words, meant to be comforting, sent a chill down my spine. "Stop!" I hugged my shoulders, trying to stop myself from shaking. "Please, don't come near me." A stalemate. After a while, David Johnson approached again, opening his arms to me. After being together for so long, he had only recently discovered that his warm embrace could soothe my fears. But this time was different. All I could think about was David Johnson's condescending disdain, and his disgust when talking about me to others. I couldn't control my body's reaction and instinctively threw up. I don't know how long I had been unconscious, but what I threw up was deep green acidic liquid, staining David Johnson's white t-shirt completely. His expression fractured slightly, but he reached out to me again. Just a hug, let your husband hold you, okay? My tears flowed even harder. I pulled out the needle in my right hand, blood staining a corner of the sheet. Get out. A familiar voice came from far away and grew closer. It was the young man who had given me a handkerchief at the bar. At the hospital room entrance, he walked over carrying a basin. His steps were quick but steady. When he reached the bedside, he held out a warm towel to me. Then he said gently, "Wipe your face. Leave the rest to me, okay?" An unexpected sense of peace settled over me. I retreated further, shrinking tightly by the bedside. The hot towel in my hand squeezed out a few drops of water as I gripped it tightly, wetting a corner of the sheet. Mixed with the blood that had just stained it, it bloomed into a blood flower. The young man raised his hand, veins bulging. I thought he was going to grab David Johnson by the throat. After all, his eyes were full of anger. But he didn't. He just cleared his throat. "Someone's at the entrance looking for you." I followed David Johnson's gaze. Her clothes were the same as before I fainted. I recognized them. It was the girl who had been with David Johnson yesterday, paired up with him. "Olivia!" Seeing her figure, David Johnson's voice suddenly rose, as if he was feeling guilty as he called out to the person at the entrance. "Who told you to come here? Get out!" Funny, wasn't it? He had just been chased out by that person, and now he could tell someone else to get out. I followed his gaze and looked up. She wore a large white-brimmed sun hat, only her striking red lips visible. She lifted her leg at the hospital room entrance. High heels. I started to scream, "Ethan!" Amidst my screams, I didn't know why I called out that unfamiliar name. My vision was fragmented, but as I called out those two words, I fell into a warm embrace. Even safer, even hotter. I could feel his heartbeat unfolding against me, blooming into flower after flower. His voice was clear and strong. He said into my ear, "Ethan's here." A hand gently patted my thin back, soothing all my fear. I closed my eyes in peace. So tired. "Sadie's tired, get some sleep." He paused. "Don't forget me this time. Ethan Carter has a bad temper. If you forget me a second time, I'll really be angry." When I woke up again, only Ethan Carter was by the bedside. It was strange. Someone so stunning, I shouldn't have failed to recognize him. I would have remembered. But his name was on the tip of my tongue, taking root, unsettlingly familiar. The young man's hands were beautiful, fair and long, and he was currently stirring the porridge in the thermos, looking down. "You're awake, have some porridge." Ethan Carter's gaze when he looked over was very gentle, with a hint of teasing. "I know you love meat, but you haven't eaten in so long, greasy food will make you nauseous." He took my hand and placed the small insulated bowl in it. Even stranger. I didn't seem to resist his touch at all. Without any guard, I lowered my head and took a sip of the white rice porridge. Soft and smooth, with a hint of meat flavor. "Do I know you?" He lowered his eyes and didn't answer. "It's raining outside." His gaze shifted to in front of the window. But I looked at him. A small red mole on his brow bone made my vision blur. As if a memory was surfacing, I instinctively covered my temples. Unwilling to pursue that confusing line of thought, I followed his gaze. There was a person in the rain. He was kneeling about 10 meters from the hospital room window. It must have been calculated precisely. His position wouldn't be obscured by the eaves, allowing me to see him clearly from the hospital bed. It was David Johnson. Still wearing that white t-shirt, it was covered in mud. David Johnson, who was always so clean, I didn't know how he could stand it. Just as I didn't know where he got the dirt from that had turned to mud in the rain. As if by telepathy, I saw the usually calm Ethan Carter touch his nose, his hand forming a fist against his lips. Ahem. I did that. I couldn't help but laugh internally. But I didn't do much, he was too weak. I just kicked him a few times. After drinking the last sip of porridge, I tugged on Ethan Carter's sleeve. Let him come in. His face turned cold. Sarah Miller, did you lose your memory? Did you forget where you saw him? When he was caught, who was he with? I never knew that the seemingly aloof and reserved Ethan Carter could talk so rapidly fire. As if by instinct, I reached out and tugged his sleeve again, then looked at him pitifully. Ethan Carter took a deep breath, then walked out without looking at me. I looked out the window. He kicked David Johnson, sending him stumbling, then turned and disappeared from my sight. David Johnson, however, stumbled in. His eyes were full of anticipation, and he couldn't wait to speak. You're not angry anymore, are you? Let's break up, David Johnson. We spoke at the same time. His expression became complex. He deflated like a withered eggplant in an instant. I can explain. I didn't comment, lowering my head to look at my phone. He rambled on. Olivia Adams is my junior student. You know, I told you, she's from our high school. She came to me alone in a foreign place. I couldn't really do anything. She did confess to me, but I didn't accept. Yesterday was an accident. It was her birthday. She said she would stop bothering me if I just celebrated her birthday with her. He talked on and on for 20 minutes. Seeing that I wasn't looking up, David Johnson moved closer. He opened his arms again, wanting to pull me into a hug. I had said it before. I really loved him, so no matter how angry I was, as long as he hugged me, all problems would be solved. I wanted to kill myself. I retreated further and further. In my struggle, I saw the metal mug on the table. Ethan Carter had used it to heat hot milk. I grabbed it and threw it down, hitting David Johnson and making him stunned. Seeing the words on the metal mug, his face turned even greener. 2022 National Wushu Sanda Champion Ethan Carter. David Johnson's expression became unfamiliar. He raised his eyes, looking down at me. So you found a martial arts champion to protect you, huh? That's why you came all this way. You're here to mock me, aren't you? He thinks he can protect you? I met his gaze. David Johnson, leave. I pierced through his pretense of anger. I heard what you said. Don't make me hate you. David Johnson stared at my eyes blankly, then leaned closer with longing. Just let me hold you one more time. I just felt disgusted. Before I threw up, I raised my hand and slapped him. The moment my skin made slick contact with his face, I started to tremble. Get out! I screamed the words with a trembling voice. He was incredulous. But he still turned and left. I gasped for breath, looking at the paid order on my phone. My suitcase, which I had brought, was now by the entrance. It took me a long time to recover. Ethan Carter must have been really upset with me. He hadn't come back even after it got dark. I didn't have Ethan Carter's contact information. When I was discharged from the hospital, I could only put the card with a little balance into my coin purse and ask the nurse to pass it to him. It was a gamble. From our interactions, I knew he was very familiar with me. Since he knew me, he probably guessed my birthday was the bank card password, right? I'll see him again. I gripped the suitcase tighter. I was exhausted from traveling hundreds of miles back to school. I saw David Johnson's photo with Olivia Adams posted on his. Although it wasn't a full face shot, it was enough to tell it wasn't me. Before, to create a surprise for me and make contacting easier, David Johnson had added every one of my roommates on WeChat. So everyone must know by now. I saw my roommates' concerned expressions and forced a smile, but their expressions were hesitant. I felt something was wrong, but I didn't know how to ask. After a moment, my dorm leader stood up and took the suitcase from my hand. Sadie, did you eat when you got back? She pat. Ted my shoulder. It's still the holiday break, let's go out to eat. Although David Johnson was a jerk, 3 years of feelings weren't fake. The fatigue of the journey and the fear of being injured and hospitalized were swept away by the surge of grievance, leaving my face wet with tears. My dorm leader, tall and strong, pulled me into a hug. She patted me gently, like Chloe. It's okay, it's not a big deal. You've been here in the Midwest for almost a year, haven't experienced our spa culture / communal bathing culture here yet. Chloe is treating us today, let's all go. The other roommates cheered, grabbing their bathing supplies haphazardly and crowding around me as we walked out. I resisted inwardly but couldn't say anything. It had been a long time since I'd been close to people. The feeling of being held by girls was unexpectedly warm. From a distance, I saw a few people gathered, discussing something. It looked like a tripod. My dorm leader's hand, holding mine, paused, then she pulled me harder towards the campus entrance. I gently tugged on her sleeve. Chloe, I want to see, can I? I had always disliked crowds, and my roommates knew my lack of gossip interest. I thought they would be excited to go with me. But on the faces of the three girls, there was a uniform look of unspoken understanding. Seeing this, I quickened my steps towards the center of the crowd. The sudden strong pull broke free from her, she froze for a moment, then quickly followed. My roommates gathered around, staying close to me as we moved forward. Sadie, we'll go with you. My heart tightened. Sure enough, the figure surrounded by the crowd was familiar, David Johnson. He was kneeling in the center of the crowd, a tripod in front of him. He was crying on TikTok live stream. My girlfriend is a freshman at a university in the Midwest. She brought her lover to my school, flaunting it. David Johnson pointed to the injuries on his face. It was hard to imagine the vile comments in the live stream. My legs felt weak. My dorm leader held me firmly. She squeezed my wrist, then looked at me with confidence. Sadie, look at my eyes. My trembling body was held tightly by the other two roommates. Tell me, what he's saying is false. David Johnson's injuries weren't fake, everyone was condemning her, but she was seriously asking me for the truth. Is clarifying useful? Who would believe it? Chloe Davis looked at me. I believe you. Her voice was quiet but filled with conviction. I believe you. I believe you. The other two voices sounded together. Sadie, tell us. Whatever you say, we'll believe it. Tears blurred my vision. He cheated, and I caught him red-handed. As if he'd noticed, David Johnson pushed through the crowd and met my eyes. His legs, numb from kneeling for so long, stumbled as he stood up. Please, just come back. I won't care about anything that happened before. The crowd watching the spectacle erupted in murmurs. I keenly felt the increasing number of disgusted and scornful gazes landing on me, wrapping around me like clinging vines. Suffocating me. Get out of our school. Chloe Davis stood in front of me. My roommates were like a strong wall, shielding me from all malicious looks. You know exactly what happened. Don't make us humiliate you here. How much power could three girls have? Soon, they were drowned in insults. Though those suffocating stares didn't fall directly on me, I heard even more troublesome whispers. Memories from the past surged up, and I covered my head in pain. In the standoff, I saw Chloe Davis walk over and land a beautiful hook that made David Johnson's nose bleed profusely. Who needs a Sonda champion? People from the Midwest don't fall for your nonsense. You're not even as good as a decent this old woman. Looking from a distance, I saw the comments on David Johnson's live stream scrolling faster. I didn't know what the public opinion was turning into. I straightened up, suppressing my rapidly accelerating heartbeat. My voice still trembled, but my fear was greatly diminished. David Johnson, you cheated first. I didn't tell anyone. I tried to make my voice louder. My voice was still soft, but it was infused with firm strength. Confidence would bloom. Now you're turning around and destroying my reputation. You're not a man. Hearing my words, David Johnson's eyes were filled with shock. I clenched my hands, my fingernails digging hard into my palms, unwilling to show any sign of timidity. Whatever means you used to get into our school, please, now, get out immediately. A round of applause erupted. Applause sounded across the campus square. Before I could say anything, I saw a tall student running in the distance, with a security vehicle chasing him. The vehicle drove quickly and stopped in front of us. The security guards who got out of the vehicle grabbed David Johnson and shoved him inside. The young man awkwardly touched his buzz cut and smiled pleadingly at Chloe Davis. My girl, I wasn't too late, was I? Chloe Davis rolled her eyes and jumped up to hit him on the head. Not too late, my big head? Why don't you just crawl here? As the crowd dispersed, I felt drained of energy, and my body went limp. Chloe Davis anxiously squatted down, wanting to carry me, but I just smiled at her. Chloe, she raised her warm hand, gesturing for me to hurry up and shut up. You've seen enough of the spectacle this time. Let's go take a bath with Chloe. Don't say anything formal. I suppressed the urge to cry and nodded. My GI, the young man had just started to speak when he was interrupted by Chloe again. My girl, my head. Chloe is taking her girls out to have fun. You stay home and do the laundry, mop the floor, and take care of the kids. I couldn't help but laugh, tears brushing my cheeks and falling onto the corners of my curved lips. You look even better when you smile, Sadie. I'm turning gay. Last semester, my roommates and I were always polite with each other, thinking that the hospitality of people from the Midwest was just a rumor and not to be taken seriously. But I didn't realize that they had been carefully considering my sensitivities all along. Their warm and beautiful smiles pierced my heart, and I reached out to them. When I was held again, the iceberg in my heart had quietly begun to melt. When spring is warm, flowers will bloom. I was coaxed into the most famous women-only spa in our city, called the Serenity Spa. Still finding it hard to accept walking around naked in public view, I insisted on choosing a private room. My roommates looked like they didn't know what to do with me, but Chloe Davis squeezed my shoulder. The private room is on the 5th floor, the sauna room is on the 6th floor, and the women's area is on the 7th floor. Can you manage? I nodded, and she entered the elevator, looking back at me every step of the way. Submerged in the water, I felt the heat lifting me. I rubbed the scar on my collarbone over and over again. Would it fade away in the long river of time? After a long time, I heard my phone ringing continuously. Only then did I stand up, put on the high-neck top I had brought, and quickly put on long pants before heading to the sauna room. Before entering the elevator, I took a deep breath. The elevator finally reached the sauna floor. Before entering the agreed-upon sauna room, I was brutally gagged by someone. Ignoring my struggles, his other hand grabbed my throat. He squeezed with frantic force. All the oxygen was stolen from me, and I felt life draining away little by little. It was a man's hand. When the staff at the entrance pulled him away, his eyes were still bloodshot. Clenching his teeth, he squeezed vicious words from between them, "You're just a dog, forever." A female dog begging at my feet. I'll just let everyone see how disgusting you are, nothing but trash. Give up, I'm the only one who cares about you. Nobody will love you except me. David Johnson broke free from the staff and lunged at me, pulling open the high collar of my top, revealing the old and new red marks on my collarbone. Beneath the redness I had just frantically rubbed, a deep slave was clearly visible. My most secret corner was completely exposed to everyone. It was still the holiday break, and the sauna room was crowded with layers of people. Overwhelmed by immense shame, I hugged myself, trying to find the top that had been ripped. But Mrs. Peterson blocked my body. You punk, I've never seen a scumbag like you. You think this old woman can't handle a piece of trash? All sorts of nasty words were hurled at David Johnson like a machine gun. Contrary to what I expected, more and more men and women shielded me. I couldn't control my tears any longer. Mrs. Peterson in front of me protected me tightly behind her, like a mother hen protecting her chicks. I thought, if Mom were here, she would protect me like this too. I wrapped my arms around her waist from behind. Mrs. Peterson stiffened for a moment, then cursed David Johnson even louder. The scene before my eyes shifted. I was born in a poor mountain town in the South, where women were not treated as human beings. Just tools for procreation, things that bleed, walking uteruses with legs. I remembered the year I was brought back, ragged and broken, in a beat-up van from outside the village, and dumped at the entrance of our yard. The neighbors pointed and whispered. Grandmother looked at me like garbage, wishing she could kick me out of the house. A worthless girl, seducing men at such a young age, just like your worthless dead mother. So many single men wasting their lives in the alley watched from afar. My fair skin, streaked with blood, attracted their gaze like a fishhook. My eyes were blurred with blood, but I could still feel their foul stares. They all wanted to tear me apart and devour me. None of you can do it? Whoever goes first can marry her. Hearing my grandmother say such things, those men rushed forward like hungry wolves. But then my biological father walked closer and hoisted me onto his shoulder. Such a prize, better keep her for myself. All of you, get out. Reliving it, I couldn't help but wail and cry. It quieted down here. David Johnson had been beaten up by several enthusiastic men and couldn't get up. Mrs. Peterson, who had been protecting me, turned and held me, also shedding tears. My poor girl, how much you've suffered. The commotion drew my roommates, who hurried over. I leaned in Mrs. Peterson's embrace, crying until my eyelids felt heavy. Then, I saw the person I hadn't seen in days squatting in front of me. The police are here, he won't bother you anymore. It was Ethan Carter. He reached out and handed me another handkerchief. You probably lost the last one, can you not lose this one? A hint of teasing appeared on his usually expressionless face. It's very expensive. I managed a strained smile. Thank you. Having not seen him for several days, fatigue was etched on Ethan Carter's face. My roommates hurried over, thanked Mrs. Peterson for me, and then wanted to take me to the private room they had booked in advance. Mrs. Peterson held my hand. Girl, I don't mean anything else, but if you have time, you and your roommates can come visit this old woman sometime. She smiled, the wrinkles on her face also smiling, but I saw sadness in her eyes. I felt like some secret was about to emerge. I reached out and took the business card she handed me. Mrs. Peterson waved and left. My roommates led me playfully, along with Ethan Carter, who was trailing behind, into the private room. Chloe Davis poured us hot tea. The three of them sat in a row in front of me, creating the atmosphere of being lined up like judges. Ethan Carter suddenly collapsed, falling straight into my arms. I thought Chloe Davis would help me lift him up and take him to the hospital. But seeing the situation, she pulled the other roommates out. You guys aren't used to this, rest well in here. I'm taking them to try a hotter sauna room. As I lowered my head to try and move him aside, I accidentally glanced over and saw Chloe Davis winking at me from behind Ethan Carter. If your acting is bad, you don't have to do it. Just as I was about to call him out, I saw an invitation peeking out of Ethan Carter's pocket. With his breathing, the invitation fell completely to the floor. I shouldn't have been prying into someone else's privacy, but I clearly saw that my name was written on it. In recognition of your excellent performance in volunteer service activities, the Sunflower Help Center sincerely invites Ms. Sarah Miller to participate in the development of psychological support for young girls. I froze. Could someone as broken as me also mend others? After a while, Ethan Carter finally couldn't keep up the act. He slowly opened his eyes and met the tears welling up in mine. Don't cry. My tears made his expression become more animated. He awkwardly wiped my tears for me. I opened my mouth. Ethan Carter, what's our story? His hand paused, stopping in midair. No need to remember. Ethan Carter lowered his gaze. I could see his sudden sadness. Let's not talk about that. He forced a smile, pulling at the corners of his lips. Sadie, you just need to remember me. I grabbed his hand. I want to know. He looked surprised that I had grabbed his hand, as if I had found a treasure. Give me a reason. If I think it's reasonable, I'll tell you everything. I paused. Although I had only known him for a few days, the sense of security he gave me was far greater than David Johnson, who had been with me for 3 years. Although it sounded irresponsible, I still said, because I want to pursue you, is that okay? Ethan Carter was stunned. My face turned red. So shameless. I turned to run, but Ethan Carter, who had reacted late, pulled me into a hug. His breath brushed against my ear as he buried his head in my neck. Can you give me some time? He thought for a moment, then rephrased his words. Sadie, stand up. Will you be with me when you're not afraid of anything? Ethan Carter's hands gripped my shoulders. I felt a steady stream of strength flowing into my body. It might take a long time. Will you wait for me? He turned my body towards him and smiled. I'll be with you, always, until you're not afraid of anything. As if by magic, he pulled a bag from his embrace. He shook it open. It was a white dress. When you're ready to wear this dress on your own, we'll be together, okay? The tears of the past few days seemed to have almost dried up. I touched my face, it wasn't wet. Then I raised my lips and nodded at him. Tears didn't fall from my face, but they wet Ethan Carter's face. Tears rolled down his eyelashes. It was my turn to reach out and wipe them dry. Then, I tremblingly but firmly picked up the invitation. I will. I turned and took the dress from his hand. I will wear it. He cried and laughed at the same time. Turning back, I saw my roommate smiling at me, shoulder to shoulder. Mom, this time I'm not alone. I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid anymore. David Johnson regretted it. I actually knew he wasn't that kind of person inherently, though I still couldn't understand why his actions had become so extreme during those few days. So he even stopped going to class. Wherever I was, he would kneel there. I had repeatedly emphasized that I truly didn't blame him anymore, but he continued his behavior. Let me atone. Sarah, I really regret it. Can you really not give me another chance? I said nothing more and walked into the Sunflower Help Center. Psychological healing after trauma. Is cyclical. I had heard of the Sunflower Help Center when I first enrolled in university. The director of the center was also someone I knew. She was Mrs. Peterson, who had shielded me that day. This was a social aid center, taking in many patients with psychological issues who had been abandoned by their families, just like me. There were many people here who had similar experiences to mine. Some had gone through their nightmares when they were younger than me, or the same age. But they all suffered from trauma response. Perhaps I was still lucky. My self-protection mechanism had erased the most bloody and unbearable scenes, leaving only fragmented memories that would bring me a cold sweat when I dreamt. That was already enough to torment me. So I genuinely felt for all the girls here. They faced even darker experiences. Ethan Carter couldn't come in. Because many girls here still couldn't see men, seeing one would make them scream in fear and panic. So I would come by myself. In the stories of countless victims, I saw my broken self and my broken life. Because I had forgotten the most terrifying experience, I constantly worked on myself, reading many case files about the horrific experiences young girls had endured. Bloody and vicious couldn't even describe it. I was drenched in cold sweat. When I tried to empathize with them, all I felt was suffocating despair. In mending others, I gradually picked up the pieces of my broken self. Until that day, I saw my own case file. The words on the case files were cold and objective. I used my finger to point at the sealed memories, reading them word by word to myself. During the illegal confinement of victim Sarah Miller, she suffered a fractured pelvis. Whip marks on her skin became infected from being submerged in dirty water for a long time. She was branded with a symbol on her skin using violence, causing permanent injury. Sarah Miller's privacy was completely violated by being Livstria. Med on a private website/dark website, severely violated the victim's reputation and right to privacy. Those few lines of text instantly opened the floodgates of memory. I stared intensely at the sorrow written between the lines, and then, I fainted. After Ethan Carter gave me that white dress, I hadn't had a dream for a long time. Perhaps because I was unconscious for so long this time, I actually dreamt again. She tied me tightly with a dog chain. I didn't know why I was in her hands, and I didn't dare open my eyes to look at her. But this time I tried, forcing my eyelids open. There's nothing to be afraid of, right? So this time in the dream, I saw the girl's face clearly. So similar. Was it the girl next to David Johnson? The same striking, bright face, carrying the same gloomy air. Her red high heels lifted. I saw my situation clearly. I knew this was the nightmare I had lived through. The giant fish tank was filled with water. I was less than 9 years old. Shoved into the fish tank, I curled up, unable to resist at all. Her smile was innocent and terrifying. It was written like this in Dad's videos/tapes. He said disobedient puppies should be punished like this. With Dad's guidance, I killed the dog outside our house. Her nose touched mine. As long as you're obedient and make me some pocket money, I might not kill you. As the words fell, the whip fell. I cried out in pain. Say it, you are Lana's dog, you are forever Lana's slave. Everything went black before my eyes. Through time and space, I saw those steady eyes. And the tall, upright figure who always stood behind me. I shook my head repeatedly, standing up with almost all my strength. Standing up in the water. The immense pressure tightened the chains, but I still stood up. Then I raised my hand high and slapped her. Lana Adams' arrogant figure disappeared before my eyes. I opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was Ethan Carter's disheveled sleeping face. Seeing me open my eyes, he quickly pressed the call button for the doctor. I grabbed his hand. I want to wear the white dress. Doctors and nurses came in. In the crowd, I met his gaze. Truly, I smiled. I knew this smile wasn't ugly. But why was he crying again? There's a music corner on Main Street, on a rooftop terrace above a restaurant. Someone plays music there for passers-by. I signed up, wanting to give Ethan Carter a surprise on his birthday. Because there were so many people coming and going, and it was from an elevated position, it wasn't very convenient. I asked my roommates to trick Ethan Carter into coming. I stood on the terrace but didn't see any sign of Ethan Carter below. But I had promised the person in charge that I would play. I had no choice but to start. My hands moved continuously, my heart keeping time as I sang the lyrics to myself. Hair disheveled, lots of scars, if you don't recognize me. A little sad, God always said singing helps. He was lying, no, many are born cruel. The skirt dances lightly and lonely, being beautiful isn't her fault. I built up my strength little by little. Midway through the song, I saw a video playing on the large screen across from me, and the person in it was myself. A curled up body in a huge fish tank, a terrified face visible, it was me. A girl's body, completely exposed. The crowd's murmuring erupted. My hands were shaking. I saw a pair of flashy high heels clicking loudly in the crowd. Sure enough, she would ruin me. Just when everything was getting better, Olivia Adams appeared. That dream told me that Lana Adams was Olivia Adams. I remembered everything. She was originally much older than me, but because of what she did, she went to a juvenile detention facility, which is why she was a year below me. My hand on the violin paused, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw a familiar figure. Ethan Carter was sitting on another rooftop terrace next to mine, a laptop in his hands. His gaze was encouraging. I continued to play, finishing the piece. My violin music didn't stop, I even started to sing out loud. The microphone in front of me carried my voice out on the wind. If there was pity for me, why did you capture me? Nonsense, forgive the devil. Gritting my teeth, I'm no longer timid and desolate. The flower I want to bloom for the world, I will express boldly. The images on the screen across from me kept changing. After the song finished, there was thunderous applause. Perhaps touched, more eyes moved between me and the large screen across from me. They seemed to be comparing my face with the similar face on the large screen. I cleared my throat. People are born naked. It's those who mock who have twisted hearts. The crowd below stopped murmuring. It became quiet. The world was born from the hem of a woman's skirt. It's ridiculous that this world doesn't allow a woman's skirt to flutter freely. Instantly, the screen across from me changed protagonists. David Johnson and Olivia Adams' despicable actions appeared on the large screen. Their nasty words were like sharp knives, stabbing into the hearts of everyone present. Everyone had a mother, a sister, a daughter. The power of women is great. Those with sharp eyes saw Olivia Adams hiding in the crowd. Garbage rained down on her. She covered her head. Her helplessness was no less than mine back then. I cleared my throat, bracing myself. I want to thank someone. I was already broken. He picked up the pieces one by one and calmed my anxiety. He said I was a beautiful and strong person. The wind brought tears to my eyes. I wish all women achieve what they desire. Ethan Carter stood up, walked through the crowd, his gaze fixed on me. filled with endless longing. Then he extinguished the cigarette in his hand, holding the laptop in his left hand, and walked down the stairs step by step, following the police who had already handcuffed Olivia Adams, and got into the police car. On Ethan Carter's birthday, David Johnson, Olivia Adams, and Ethan Carter were all taken away by the police. Their charges were different. Following them to the police station, I learned how David Johnson's bizarre extreme behavior had come about during that time. Olivia Adams had coaxed him into using drugs. Olivia Adams' charges including drug dealing, illegal confinement, distribution of obscene material, and invasion of privacy added up layer by layer. With the evidence Ethan Carter had continuously gathered, Olivia Adams would spend the rest of her life in jail. As for Ethan Carter, I sighed. Sadie, you really don't blame him? You won't look down on him for having been to jail? I looked at Chloe Davis, whose face was full of anxiety. Chloe, I know. I already knew that Chloe Davis was Ethan Carter's distant cousin, and that he had asked Chloe Davis to secretly look after me. As I talked to Chloe Davis, my hands didn't stop moving. I was ironing the white dress he had given me. In a broken world, he was the one who mended me. My eyes were filled with the gentle, loving gaze Ethan Carter directed at me. He was just getting revenge for me. Actually, I knew that with the evidence Ethan Carter had collected, he could have completely avenged me. And when he saw Olivia Adams bribe the staff to play my video, he didn't stop it because he wanted to help me completely overcome my psychological trauma. As for him putting up the video of Olivia Adams and David Johnson together at the end, it was just him being angry. How could I blame him? It's only 1 month, Chloe. Chloe Davis looked relieved. I put on the white dress. Chloe, I'm going to pick him up. For the first time, I didn't use a high collar to hide my scar. I simply tied my hair up in a high ponytail, exposing my long neck to the air. Chloe Davis's eyes were filled with tears. At the detention center entrance, when Eth and Carter came out with a buzz cut, I happened to walk up to him. As my skirt fluttered, his tears fell. Then, like a kid, he rushed over, picked me up, and spun me around. The skirt billowed high. My girl, you look so beautiful. Beautiful like a blooming rose.